Answer Gray here for the Confident Live Marketing Show. This is episode 70. 70. I can't believe we're there. That's really amazing. So this is a very exciting episode because I'm doing a few new things. Just a few. Yeah, I'll just let you know what I'm playing around with. So first of all, we're broadcasting in stereo. That's not quite a new thing, but certainly the last couple of episodes I've been doing that. This is the first ever broadcast to LinkedIn that has been scheduled, or scheduled, depending on how you pronounce that. So I'm testing this out. I'm on the beta testing group for LinkedIn. So this is exciting because I scheduled this yesterday. And so if you've been notified, let me know. I'd love to know how the LinkedIn experience is doing. And if you're watching on Facebook, I've got a Facebook Messenger bot. I've been avoiding Facebook Messenger bots for yonks. And I'm now in the middle of building that. So a little bit more about that in a minute. If you're watching the replay, just put hashtag replay in the comments. I'd love to know that. And if you're watching live, welcome. I can see lots of lovely viewers watching, which is awesome. And let me know if you've got any questions for today's topic, which is top live video mindset challenges to break through. So I've been talking a lot about tech and gear recently, but there are three main themes to the show. There's the tech and the gear, but there's also the content and marketing side of live video, and the biggie, of course, is the mindset and the whole fear of getting in front of the camera. So I'm going to be talking about that today, which is something I'm really passionate about. I can see some great comments coming through, so I will get back to you very shortly. I'm just making sure that everything is working here. It looks like it is, which is pretty good. I think it's time to get on with the podcast. What do you reckon, everyone? I think it is. So I'll see you just after this.
This is the Confident Live Marketing Podcast. Confident Live Marketing Podcast with Ian Anderson Gray, helping entrepreneurs level up their impact, authority and profits through the power of live video. Gain confidence in front of the camera, confidence with technology, and confidence with the content and marketing.
Together, we can go live!
Hello, Ian Anderson Gray here for episode 70 of the Confident Live Marketing Show. This is episode 70. If you're listening to the podcasts or watching this in the future, the show notes for this episode will be at iag.me/70. That's iag.me/70. And today's show is all about the top live video mindset challenges to break through, all to do with the mindset of getting in front of the camera and broadcasting live. Because in my experience, this is one of the top challenges. Yes, some people get stressed about the gear and the tech. That's not a it's not a little issue, but a lot of the issues that we face are to do with mindset. So I'm excited to share that with you. But it's important to say that this show is sponsored by my good friends at Content 10x and Restream. So a little bit first about Content 10x. Content 10x are awesome. They have been sponsoring the show right from the start. They are the complete content repurposing service for entrepreneurs. And basically, if you are wanting to create more content across all the different platforms that you're on, maybe you're struggling with that. There's just not enough time in the day. You're wanting to increase your reach, increase your engagement across all those different channels. Well, what you can do is go live on a regular basis. If you have a live show every single week, and this is what I talk about on this show, it's a really quick and easy way of creating content. And then once you've created that, Content 10x can then take that and explode it across the interwebs in a plethora of different content. Whether it might be a blog, they might repurpose that into a blog or a podcast or infographics. There's so many things that you can do. And that's what I do on the show. This is a live show, but it gets repurposed into a podcast. All you need to do is go to iag.me/podcast and also blog posts as well. So that's what Content 10x does, but they've also got a new service called LinkedIn 10x, and Amy Woods, who is the founder of Content 10x, is going to come on the show in a couple of weeks to tell us a little bit more about that. But LinkedIn 10x is really about increasing your reach and your brand awareness really on LinkedIn. Now, this is a biggie because so many of us struggle with time. And LinkedIn is one of those networks that, although we know is really powerful, we don't really get that time to do that. And so what LinkedIn 10X is all about is you create one video every single week, and Content 10X will then take that and create lots of really engaging content on LinkedIn. So definitely check that out. All you need to do is go to content10x.com to find out more. And of course, if you don't want to hire, if you're not in the position to hire Content 10X to do this, you can find out how to do it yourself. They have an amazing blog, podcast, a book, and so much more. All you need to do is go to content10x.com. And I thank you so much, Amy and the team, for sponsoring the show. Awesome. Right. Thank you so much, everyone, for waiting patiently. I can see some awesome comments coming through, which is great. So we've got Challenge ITV watching again. Still the same from Vietnam. That's awesome. Hope things are going well in that part of the world. Let's see what else we've got going on here. Oh, we've got Shane Tremble watching on Facebook. What music service do you use? I'm interested. What do you mean by music services? So is this the music that I've used for the show? If that's the case, I use what's it called again? Epidemic Sounds is one of the ones I use. But for the show, all the stuff that the intro music is from Music Radio Creative, which is great. Sasha is here. Sasha is awesome. She's been helping me a little bit more about Sasha in a minute, but Sasha's been helping me with my Facebook Messenger bot. She's been absolutely awesome. Watching from very chilly UK. Yes. It's not raining outside at the moment, but it's been raining all day. And Alec Dorling is watching on LinkedIn. Thank you so much, Alec. This is a new feature that I'm playing around with today. It's the ability to schedule a LinkedIn Live. And he says that he clicked the LinkedIn Live notification button, but he didn't receive a notification reminder. So that's really useful. I'm sorry about that, Alec, but this is obviously, it's a new feature and they're still playing around. They're still testing it. So thanks for that. We can work that out. See what we can do. Challenge ITV says, are you editing your videos yourself or do you subcontract it? So most of what I do is live video. And so I actually don't have to do really very much editing at all. That's the great thing about live video. But when it comes to repurposing, at the moment, I'm doing most of that myself. But I'm definitely going to be subcontracting that out fairly soon. Maybe a little bit more about that later, but there's quite a few things that I've been wanting to subcontract out. For example, Facebook Messenger bots. I've wanted to get somebody else in to have another pair of eyes, and actually, to be quite fair, somebody who is an expert at it, because I'm not an expert on Facebook Messenger bots, so I need help with that. So yeah, that's something that I'm looking at doing. And Challenge ITV says, would be great if you could invite the rep of Content 10X to explain their service. Definitely going to be doing that in a few weeks. Yeah, just a few things really that I wanted to talk about. Restream scheduling is going to be coming. So Restream are sponsoring this show, but Restream, until relatively recently, didn't give you the ability to schedule to Facebook or LinkedIn, just to YouTube, kind of. But now they have, it's still in beta testing, but you will have the ability to create scheduled live videos to LinkedIn Live, to Facebook and YouTube. Those are currently the 3 channels that support scheduling. And this is really important because this allows you to promote your live shows ahead of time. And when it comes to Facebook, it also allows you to play around with Facebook Messenger bots and you utilize them in a really good way. So that brings me on to the second thing, which is LinkedIn scheduling is coming. It's currently in a closed beta, and so I'm currently testing that. So this gives you the ability to create a scheduled live post on LinkedIn that you can then broadcast live to. You can have comments on there and get involved with that. And obviously this allows you to promote ahead of time, which is great. Okay, so I mentioned Sasha has been really helping me. She's been doing an amazing job at creating a Facebook Messenger bot for me. And so you should definitely check out Sasha. Her services are awesome. And actually, Sasha, we need to have you on the show to talk about this. So yeah, if you're watching on my Facebook page, if you comment on my Facebook page, you should receive a message that will allow you to get notified for my next live show. So just put a comment, any comment on Facebook, and you should receive you should receive a Facebook Messenger bot that will allow you to do that. Now, this is still fairly new, so I'm still playing around with this. But, of course, if you're not watching on Facebook, and we've got quite a few people not watching on Facebook, all you need to do is go to this link, which I'm going to just put in the comments, which is, I'll just put this on the screen. And obviously, if you're listening to the podcast, you can go to my you can go to this link as well for the future. But basically, this is confident.live/subscribe. That almost rhymes, doesn't it? Confident.live/subscribe. And let me know what you think of that. I'm really excited about this, which is really great. It's great stuff. Before I get on with a few other things, I can see a comment from Alec. Is there a difference between LinkedIn scheduling and LinkedIn events? That is a really great comment, and thank you for asking that question, Alec. So on LinkedIn, there are technically 3 ways of broadcasting to on LinkedIn that you can broadcast, or 3 destinations. You can broadcast to your LinkedIn personal profile. You can broadcast to your LinkedIn company page, and you can also broadcast to a LinkedIn event. So, and of course it depends at the moment, because LinkedIn Live is only available to a handful. Well, it's more than a handful now. It's been rolled out to a selection of people because it's still in beta testing. So, at the moment, only certain live video tools integrate with LinkedIn Live. For example, Restream does this, StreamYard does this as well. And so you will have to choose whether you're going to go live to your profile, your company page, or an event. So an event means that you're going live at a certain time, and you can invite people to that. But this scheduling feature is different. This allows you to just post a scheduled live video to your profile or your page. It allows people to comment. You can send it out to your list and on social media as well. So it is very different. It's very, very similar to Facebook and YouTube scheduled live. So I hope that kind of makes sense. And if you've got any other questions, let me know. So there we go. That's what have I said? Restream scheduling, LinkedIn scheduling, Facebook Messenger bots. I've mentioned confident.live/subscribe. And of course, the other one is confident.live/menu. You can have a little look at my menu, and I'd love to get some feedback on that. I've got a really cool menu that Sasha's been working on, which is great. So yeah, still working on that, and I hope by next week it should all be pretty much completed. And then the final bit of housekeeping really is, it's a bit weird today because I'm broadcasting on a Friday, and I'm not going to be doing that regularly. I will be broadcasting next Friday. I've got my good friend Anne Papalizio to talk about Facebook ads. But just to let you know, I'm going to be broadcasting twice a week at the moment. Tuesday is going to be 11:30 a.m. in the UK. That's going to be very early if you're in the US. But if you're in the US, then Thursdays is probably better for you. That's going to be 4:30 p.m. in the UK. And if you want to be notified about any of these, all you need to do is go to confident.live/subscribe. So I've got some amazing guests coming up. I'm going to be having some guests talking about bots, live video, promotion and engagement, how to create overlays, Facebook ads, selling, and loads more. I'm not going to tell you who. I know I've mentioned Anne coming on next Friday, but we've got some really amazing guests. So I'm excited about that too. Alec also says you can also broadcast to a LinkedIn group. And that's interesting. I haven't played around with that. I've not really played around with LinkedIn groups. So Alec, have you played around with that? Is that something that you've done? I'm not even sure how I would go about doing that. So that's really interesting. Thank you so much. Okay, right. I think it's time to talk about the main content, the main topic of the show, which is my top live video mindset challenges to break through. So I remember back in 2015, actually it was before this, I was invited onto a Google Hangouts on Air show. I was so petrified to actually show my face in front of the camera and for potentially the world to see. And then in 2015, when I started dabbling around with live video, I was more interested in the technology side of things. I wasn't really thinking about actually showing my face and having to do all of that. I would never have thought that I would be doing regular live shows, showing my face in front of the camera. But yeah, I had loads of issues that I've had to work through. And so that's what this show is about, me showing the struggles that I've had, some struggles that I didn't have, but I know that some people struggle with. And I'm going to talk about some ways of how to overcome them. But I've also got a couple of people coming on the show in a few weeks' time that are mindset coaches, and we're going to be talking about these in even more detail. So yeah, I really struggled with that because I have this kind of a bit of a negative self-image, really. That was a big problem. I was comparing myself with others. I was procrastinating. I was a perfectionist. Loads and loads of problems there. And so I needed to go through a lot of pain along the way. And so I want to save you from some of that pain. And I think it's really important to talk about some of these things in the open. So number one, the first mindset challenge that I think a lot of people struggle with is overthinking. We're overthinking it. Live video can be complicated. So at the moment, I'm broadcasting to a plethora of different channels. In fact, I'm also broadcasting to Mixcloud. I don't know whether I've got anyone watching there at the moment. I just need to check whether anyone's commenting on Mixcloud. But Mixcloud, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, all these different channels. I'm multi-streaming. I'm also recording this into a podcast. I've got different cameras. I've got a fancy microphone. All these things I've developed over time. But, you know, if I started off with all of this, I'd be totally overthinking it. I've been overthinking my Facebook Messenger bot, and so that's been great to have Sasha coming in and helping with that. So yeah, overthinking, making things far too complicated is a big obstacle from you actually going live. And often when you overcomplicate things, it's related to another issue, another one of these issues that I'm going to talk about today. So if you catch yourself overthinking, stop it. Think about what your main goal is with doing live video, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So first, number one is overthinking. Number two is, I'm going to be honest with you, is a big problem for me, less so than before, but yeah, procrastination. Anyone else struggle with procrastination? If you do, please let me know. Make me feel that I'm not alone. I know I'm not alone. Put in the comments, yes, I struggle with procrastination. Because it is a big issue. So this is the curse of the procrastination monkey. And in a way, scheduling your live videos is a bit of a great antidote to procrastination. I'll explain what I mean by this. So procrastination is that something big is coming up, something that's important, something that in your mind is a bit of a struggle, and you're putting it off. Because it's a big thing, and your brain is kind of like split into two. You've got the kind of the caveman part of your brain, which thinks that the live video that's coming up in an hour is like a roaring lion or tiger that's about to eat you. You know, it's trying to save you from death. So that's where procrastination comes in. You think, oh, well, I'll do lots of other things here. The great thing about scheduling your live shows is that if you know you've scheduled your live for 4 p.m. today, you have to do it. You have to do it, but it's there. You know that people are going to come and watch you, so you have to get on and do it. And so that is a really good antidote to procrastination. So I think live videos and particularly scheduling is a great way of doing that. So I definitely think about scheduling your live shows, and live shows in general, I think is great that way. So Challenge ITV says, yeah, right to the point. I have this issue of overthinking. And Alex says, I think broadcasting on the hour and not the half hour is best, because if you're working, it would struggle 2 hours. Really good point. And I kind of hate you, Alec. I'm joking, but yeah, I'm kind of doing it on the half hour, but I'll have to see how that goes. I'm broadcasting today at 4:30 p.m. in the UK. I'm going to be doing that on Thursdays, and I'm broadcasting on Tuesdays at 11:30. But I'm trying it. I'm playing around with this, and that's what I'd say to you. Just as a side note here, a lot of people ask me when's the perfect time to live stream, and actually the answer to that, unfortunately, is it kind of depends. I've played around with lots of different times, and what I found is that 11:30 a.m. on Tuesday has been brilliant, really, really good. I will try 11, but I get so much more engagement 11:30 on a Tuesday. So we'll see about that. On the procrastination thing, Challenge ITV says, yeah, procrastination because I always think that I am not ready. I feel I am not having the right plan. And yes, I procrastinated probably for a couple of years before launching this podcast and show. And if you're interested in my story behind that, let's go back to episode 1, which is iag.me/1. And you can listen to why I basically procrastinated for so long. I was trying to get it perfect. So don't do that. Sasha says, you need to do Andrew and Pete's sprint. It closes tonight, but it works. All of us did that did that last time. Managed. Oh, sorry. Let me see if I can read. Where has it gone? I've lost it now. All of us did it last time, managed to get all the tasks done. Great for procrastinators. And I mentioned last time about a great service that you can use that allows you to work with somebody else online. So it's called FocusMate. So basically you share your webcam, you show your webcam, and you spend an hour with somebody else could be on the other side of the world working on something. But Andrew and Pete's, if you want to know more about that, just go to andrewandpete.com and you can find out more about that. But yeah, definitely, I need to do that for next time. Alex says, I struggle with procrastination. Going live for the first time for real in 2 weeks. If I scheduled a live show, I would have to follow through. That's why LinkedIn scheduling is a game changer, particularly if you're on LinkedIn. And if you don't have LinkedIn Live, then I would definitely recommend scheduling on Facebook and YouTube. Even if your audience isn't on Facebook or YouTube, just the fact that you are scheduling and you have to do it is such an important thing. The next best thing is not to schedule it, but then send an email out, send loads of social media messages to say that you are going live this afternoon at 4 p.m. on your Facebook profile, your LinkedIn profile, whatever it is. That's really important. So yeah, I can see some other comments coming through, which I'll get back to. But I want to get on to the next thing. So that was procrastination, the curse of the procrastination monkey. The next issue, the next challenge, mindset challenge, is looking and feeling like an idiot. Anyone else resonate with it? Anyone else worried about pressing that go live button and things going wrong and you're going to look and feel like an idiot? This was a huge issue for me because probably, this is probably getting a bit more personal, but I think we all have our different stories. But I moved around a lot at school. I was born in England. Then I moved up to Scotland. Probably the worst time. I got really bullied for having an English accent. So I acquired a Scottish accent pretty quickly. But then I moved down to England and had a Scottish accent in England and got kind of teased and bullied about that. And so I think it took me a while to get over that. And I was always worried in my 20s and my 30s, really, about people thinking, judging me or thinking thinking certain things. And I started to kind of believe this thing about myself. So yeah, you might worry about making a fool of yourself, stumbling over words and things like that. But don't, it's those idiosyncrasies about yourself, those little mistakes that makes you you. And people love live video because it is live and because it is real and raw. You might not like the way you sound, and this was a big issue for me. I trained as a professional singer, and I was forced to listen to myself singing. It's really hard. So I don't know. Do you listen back to yourself? Do you look at yourself, and do you cringe? A great tip here. This was, it was Christine. What was Christine? I've forgotten her last name. Was on the show talking about this. A while ago, and a tip for her. So she helps photographers to feel confident about themselves, about looking at themselves, and she found that actually looking back at a video or a photo of yourself with a friend or with a colleague is really really important, because you're less likely to be judgmental about yourself in a very negative way if you're with somebody else. If you're on your own, you're probably going to say lots of negative things. So do that. Look at your videos with somebody else, but also write down 3 positive things first. Be constructive, followed by 3 things that you need to improve upon, and it needs to be constructive. Really, really important stuff. Challenge ITV says, what do you think starting with a shorter live stream, like 30 minutes max, or even shorter to train and get used to it? Absolutely. It's really important not to think about doing like an hour's broadcast or even longer than that. I did a 3-hour broadcast earlier this year, but that was after probably about 3 years of practicing and getting to that point where I felt confident that I could do a 3 or 4 hour live show. And so when you're starting, don't worry about the length. Just even 2 or 3 minutes is fine. 5 minutes, maybe then extend it up to 10. It's important to make sure that you're not rambling, that you're getting to the point. And particularly when you're starting, it is more difficult because you're probably not going to get so many live viewers. And so when you have live viewers, it is a bit easier because they can ask you questions and you can to and fro. And so that's really important, I think. So yeah, that's a great question. I would just keep it short to begin with and extend that over time. Just set yourself a goal that you're going to go live for 5 minutes every single day if you can for the next week to just get that consistency. Things will go wrong, but you know you're just working on it, and maybe try it in a safe place like a Facebook group or something like that. Challenge ITV says, well, I am bullied for my French accent, the froggy accent. How can you be bullied for that? That's I don't know. I just don't understand why people would bully anyone for that accent. But there we go. Have you gone through the wardrobe to get the right look, Alec? As Alec Dorling says, that's a really good point. So I'm going to be getting somebody on the show in the future to talk about what you wear. I'm not an expert on this, but and I've been thinking about what is the best, what reflects my personal brand and what do I feel comfortable with. So I've tried different things. I've looked a bit smarter than I am at the moment. I put on a nice shirt, and I've also been a bit more casual, but I think also something that works with your branding, with the colors and things like that. And so that's a great question, getting the right look. And this is also to do with your background as well. And all that kind of stuff. Many good advice for women for makeup, Alex says, but what about for men? Do you use any makeup? Now, some people might think that's a really odd question, but it's not an odd question. I as I said, I trained as a singer. I was involved in an opera, and we had to wear makeup on stage, which I really didn't like. The reason for that was we wanted to accentuate people's features because people were watching right from the back of the opera theatre, and they needed to see a little bit more definition. For live shows, I don't wear makeup. But it kind of depends on your setup, really. And I suppose it depends on your complexion and all those kind of things. I'm going to get somebody on the show to talk about all this kind of thing. Now, what I do I have it next to me? Yes, I do. What I do have for my live shows is, what are they called? They're oil blotting tissues. So I'm going to hold this up to the camera. Oil blotting tissues, and I think these are important. I actually haven't used these today because it reduces shine on your face. So basically, this gets rid of your perspiration and your sweat. So I don't know whether that makes a difference. I think it does actually. So I'm just gonna put that on and gets rid of any moisture. So if you've got quite a lot of lights shining on your face, I would definitely recommend these. If you go to iag.me/gear guide, iag.me/gear guide, you can find out what these are and buy them. They're really good. But I'm not an expert on makeup, so I will get somebody on the show to talk about that. And it's not just for women. Men can wear makeup too. But I find, obviously you probably want that to be a bit more subtle. But these oil blotting tissues work for me. Great. Okay, so we've looked at looking and feeling like an idiot. Right, the next one's a biggie. And I would love you watching live, listening to the podcast to let me know whether you struggle with this. Because it is, I think it's a curse of really a lot of industries on social, particularly in marketing. And that is the curse of comparisitis, if that is a word. And this is comparing yourself with other people out there who might be doing a similar thing and who might be doing live shows. And you're comparing yourself, your show, your output with those people. Don't do it. It's an absolute killer, this. It really is a killer. And I've struggled with this big time over the years. I'm much better at it now at not doing this. I just need to always remember, if I start looking at other people's shows and I start to compare myself and think, oh, well, they're so much better than me, I could never do it that way. that's a recipe for disaster. Now, if you look at other people's shows and get inspiration, that's great. That's the way to think about it. So I hope when you're watching my shows that you're getting inspiration. You're not comparing yourself with me. I mean, you might think, oh, well, I could do miles better than Ian. That's great too. But if you're thinking, oh, well, I could never do it as good as Ian, don't think like that. I think this is a real problem. So, yes, don't compare your 12th video, your 12th live video with somebody else's 100th live video, because it's not a fair comparison. You know, if I've been going live for years and years and years, I've done hundreds of live videos. So if you're just getting started, don't compare your output to mine, because I've been doing this for longer. I'm still learning. I'm still getting better at this. There's still things that I do wrong, but yeah, just don't do that. So when you're starting, get inspiration, but don't compare yourself with others. And the other thing to say about this is that don't try and be somebody else. There are other live streamers out there, such as Stephanie Liu. There's Molly Mahoney. They do Luria Petrucci. They are awesome live streamers. They're good friends of mine. They do an amazing job, but they're all very different to me. Molly Mahoney is a dear friend of mine, but she's got so much energy. It's like, I could never be like that. That's just the way she is. So I don't need to be down on myself that I've got slightly lower energy than her. And it's the same with Luria and with Stephanie. They've got different personalities. They're different people. So I need to make sure that I'm being myself. I'm being true to me, and I'm being true to you as well. Because if you're watching a live video and I'm pretending to be somebody else, I'm not being authentic. You're not knowing me. And of course, if you were then to hire me down the road, there'd be a bit of a shock there, because you'd then quickly realize that I'm not actually, that you didn't really hire the right person, because yes, I was acting somebody else. So definitely do not compare yourself with others. Alec Dorling says, great tip. This is all about the last thing about makeup and about these tissues, these oil blotting tissues. Great tip, especially if you have less hair than you. Well, yes. Yes, if you've got less hair, then you tend to get quite a lot of reflections of the light, and so I'm receding. So I'm sure at some point I'm going to need more of that. But yes, definitely. Challenge ITV says, just a suggestion: can you do a live stream random review of other channels and give your opinion? Ooh, that's a really good idea. Now, I wouldn't want to do a random one. I wouldn't want to just pick one at random and do that, because I don't think that would be fair. But what I would definitely be in favor of is, in the future, if I actually asked people to submit their live video and to do a review live on air, if they were okay with that, I think that would be great. And actually, in the past, what I've done is I've had some of my clients on to talk about their live video journey, and I'll be doing that again in the future. But great idea. If you're up for that, let me know. Just contact me through my website, or you can go to my Facebook Messenger bot. That's at confident.live/menu, and you can get in touch with me that way as well. Mark Orr says, just have this conversation with a client about authenticity on client. That's strange, isn't it? So important, isn't it? I don't know whether you struggle with this, Mark. I'm a lot better at this now. It's not comparing myself to others and being me, being okay with being me. A little bit more about that in a minute, but I think that's important. Alex says, I'm going to work on an agile cycle. Ooh, I like this. So 6 weeks, fail fast, pivot, move forward with strength, get better all the time. Have fun, focus on providing value. You're a braver man than me, Alec. I mean, I think that is the best way. I needed to have a slower pace. That's just the way I am. So I think you need, when I work with clients, I have to work out about their personality and what works with them. But if they can do that, if they're okay with failing failing fast and picking themselves up, that's the best way to do it. I think for me, that I was really worried about failure, and so I had to give myself a little bit of time to pick myself up and move forwards with that. But I love that, Alec, and I think that's going to be great. And I'd love to know how you get on, actually. So let me know. You say you're going to go live in 2 weeks. please ping me in and let me know when you do that. Challenge ITV says, you're inspiring, mate. Reason why lately I am joining your live stream. Thank you so much. I think your name's Matthias, isn't it? So thank you, Matthias. That's awesome. Right. Okay. It's now time to bring in my next sponsor. I've got some other barriers, some challenges, mindset challenges that I'll be talking about after this. But just a little bit about Restream. Because Restream's awesome. I use Restream for every one of my shows to multi-stream to a plethora of different channels out there. And they've just launched, added a few extra ones. Mixcloud is a new channel. This is a British, I don't know what you call it really, kind of media channel. It's particularly based, catering for people in the music industry, but it is broadening out and doing talk shows as well. So you can broadcast live on Mixcloud, and that's really great. Restream. Restream is the complete multi-streaming suite for entrepreneurs. It is really awesome, and I use this every single week for my live shows. It allows you to broadcast to over 30 different destinations at the same time. And so the great thing about this allows you to increase your reach and reach more audiences, which is so important, I think. You might think all your audience is on Facebook, but if you haven't tried broadcasting to YouTube and LinkedIn or some of these more niche networks, you might be surprised. So they have a plethora of different destinations, including LinkedIn Live, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitch, Periscope, Mixcloud, and so much more. And you can stream from another tool to Restream really easily. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. I'm streaming from Ecamm Live, but you could stream from OBS Studio or Wirecast or something like that. And then basically you do that, you stream it into Restream, and then Restream will take that out and broadcast that out to all the other channels. But do you remember I was talking about not trying to overcomplicate things at the start? And if your needs are you don't need to be as complicated as what I'm doing. Just keep it simple. Why not try Restream Studio? And you can broadcast from your browser. You can have up to 9 guests onto your show. You can highlight comments on the screen, add overlays. You can also save your videos for later, which is great for repurposing. So definitely check out Restream Studio. And in fact, actually, I'm using Restream Studio at the moment to highlight comments. It's a bit more techie what I'm doing, but I'm using Ecamm Live and Restream at the same time, but you don't need to do that. So this allows you to multiply your views across all those different channels. But I think the game changer for me is the chat facility. And I've been able to highlight comments from all those different channels on the screen and engage with my live audience. And that is absolutely vital, I think, when you're live streaming, because it's not just a one-way communication. It's engaging with your audience. And so Restream allows you to do that, engage with all the channels that you live stream to. Not all channels are supported, like Mixcloud at the moment. You can't bring in comments just because Mixcloud hasn't made that facility available yet, but most of them do, and that's really awesome. If you're really nervous about live streaming, or there's another reason for this, you can actually stream your pre-recorded videos live using the scheduler. And then the final thing, which is awesome, is you can measure your success with the analytics part. So you can go back over your previous live stream and see were there any dips in the number of live viewers, were there any peaks, and you can learn from that experience and do better next time. That's really important to learn about all of that kind of stuff. So if you want to find out more, if you want to sign up for free, all you need to do is go to iag.me/restream. They have a free plan and lots of paid plans with different features. And if you've got any questions or anything about that, then check out, do put them in the comments. I've also got a live show that I do with Restream every single week. It's Tuesdays at 4 p.m. in the UK. It's the Go Live with Restream show, so check out that as well. But I thank you, Restream, for sponsoring the show. All you need to do is go to iag.me/Restream. Fab. Okay, so just before we get on to the final section of all the challenges that we have, just a question from Mark Orr, who says, are you still using the Brio as your camera, Ian? So the answer to that is no, I'm not. I actually didn't get on with the Brio and had to send it back to Amazon. It just wasn't working. I had loads of problems. I don't know whether it was a faulty unit, but I didn't get on with it. And I found for the price point, I felt it was better for me just to go up a level to getting a digital digital SLR or mirrorless camera. So I've currently got my Canon M50, which I plug into my computer via USB, and Ecamm Live just takes that as a webcam feed. So yeah, but I still recommend. I know that the Brio still works for a lot of people. It's not a camera that I personally use, but that's basically where I am at the moment. And Challenge ITV says, just bought this Sony ZV-1 and it works like a charm. I recommend it. The Sony range are awesome cameras. I do recommend the Sony and also the Panasonic range. They're really very good. I personally I like the Canon M50 because it's really small and portable. I can plug it in via USB. It works really well. But there are loads of different cameras that you can play around with. And Alex says, for your information, still no notification received from LinkedIn. How rude. We're going to have to look into that. Thank you, Alec. Okay. So the next challenge, I think, is, and I kind of talked about this a little bit, but it's being worried about what people think. And you do need to think about what your audience think. You want to deliver content and that your audience want, but you don't want to be worried about negative comments or people bullying you and things like that. And often people, you're not even getting to that stage. It's often what's happening in your head. So the bullying and negative comments are cycling around in your head. So you're thinking before you press that go live button, well, my audience aren't going to like me. I'm boring. I look like an idiot. I don't like my voice. And so you're just assuming that everyone else out there is going to think the same. I've worked with clients who think, well, you know, I like what I do. I think it's interesting. But I think on my live shows, you know, no one's going to want to turn up. So if you're starting to think like that, you need to stop it. Stop worrying about what people think and just get on with it. I love what Alec was saying before. He just did it. So do think about that. It's really, really important. So next thing is something that I've struggled with a lot is perfectionism. And this is really, it's trying to reach an unattainable goal. I'm a recovering perfectionist. I've struggled with this a lot, and I've had to deal with it over the years. So definitely try not to fall into the curse of perfectionism, because you're never going to get there. Now, I feel slightly hypocritical here because my last show, the topic was how to find, or does the perfect live video tool actually exist? And the answer to that was kind of no, but don't try and look for perfectionism. Just one by one, show by show, look at improving things. So I'm a great believer in having a live video diary. What did you learn in today's show? What went right? What can you do more of? Look at the analytics on Restream or whatever platform you're using and learn from that over time, and you will get better and better and better. Will you ever get perfect? No. And in fact, if you do attain perfection, it's probably time to give up because it'll be boring. We don't want that. So definitely don't think about trying to be perfect. Okay, next one is giving in. By the way, if you struggle with perfectionism, let me know. I know I'm not the only one. The next one is giving into fear. Now, fear can be a good thing. Wait for this. So it can be a good thing as long as you transfer that fear into energy in front of the camera. I've talked about this before, but if you have those butterflies in your stomach, you're feeling nervous before you go live, there is a little bit of fear there. What you need to do is turn that into excitement. So before you go live, you need to kind of ramp up the energy and then go live. So you're turning that fear into excitement, but fear can sometimes get out of control, and we don't want that. So giving into that fear, we don't want that to go into anxiety. That's not good. So this is going back to, being worried about what people think and all this kind of stuff. If you are worried about all of those things, book yourself a worry time later in that day. So if you're waking up and you're saying, okay, I'm really worried about the way I look, I'm feeling really afraid, then say that you're going to book yourself a worry time later on in the day. The fact of what will probably happen is you'll get to that point in the day and those worries will have gone, that anxiety will have gone. So turn that fear into excitement. That's really important. Don't give in to that fear. Challenge ITV says you should do a white paper on the relaxation tips you shared a while ago, like stretching, etc. And actually, that's a great point. Thank you, Matthias. You can go and download my confidence guide, which goes through some of those things. I was hoping it was going to be available in the Facebook Messenger bot. It's not quite ready yet. But if you go to my website, iag.me, just scroll down, you'll see you can get my confidence tips guide, and it goes through some of those things. And also in my Facebook Live course that will be coming out in a few weeks' time, I've got a whole section going through all of those relaxation tips. So you might want to check that out as well. Okay, we've got 3 more things just before I finish. So we talked about not giving into fear. The next thing is not thinking strategically. This kind of depends on why you're going live, but I'm going to assume you're going live because you're running a business and you're wanting to increase your reach. You're wanting to, there is a plan behind it. You're not going live just because you kind of feel like it. Not that that's wrong. That's fine. In fact, when I first started going live, I just played around. I was just playing around with it. I was having a bit of fun. I was interested in the technology, but there came a point when I needed to think a little bit more strategically. And now I'm thinking a lot more strategically about my live shows. And do you know what? Now that I am thinking a lot more strategically about it, it's a lot easier because there's a plan behind it. I know why I'm going live. Yes, I enjoy it, and that's great. And particularly when I have guests on, it's awesome. But I know why I'm going live. There's a reason, and I can see over time. I can see the advantages of me going live on a regular basis. I can grow my audience. I can expand my reach. I can sell more of my products. But yes, I can have fun too. I mean, it's really important to think strategically, have a plan, think, why are you doing this? And so I'm a big believer in setting up a document, your live video show plan that goes through what the show is about, who is it aimed at, what are the themes about on the show, and what is in it for you, actually. What are you going to get out of it? Why are you doing it? Because when you're feeling low or you're feeling like you want to procrastinate, you can whip out this document and look at it, and you can see those reasons plain in front of you, and that's going to help you. So not thinking strategically is a big problem. Get a plan. Next thing is kind of the opposite, and I haven't really struggled with this too much, but I have occasionally, and that is the curse of complacency. Now, this can kick in after you've done quite a few live shows and things are going really, really well. And you start to get a bit complacent and you start to not look at your plan and you start to forget to look at your checklist and you kind of just go live. And it's usually at those moments that you lose track of what you're supposed to be doing, your audience gets bored, and things go wrong, particularly when it comes from the tech point of view. So don't be complacent. You don't want to be the opposite. You don't want to be really kind of like full on afraid each time, but make sure that you look at your checklist, you're going through all of those things, and you have a plan, and you look at it every single time, and you're strategic. And the final one, just before I finish, is negative image. This is a big struggle that I had over years, and we've talked about this on the show a few times. So this is really when you have built up a negative image of yourself, which is a false image. It's not the true image of yourself. So I had this about myself. I thought, I've actually kind of almost forgotten what I thought about myself, but I was really down on myself. I thought I definitely had a lot of imposter syndrome as well. And so this stopped me from going live. So if you have a negative self-image, you need to work at that. You need to start writing down what are your strengths. You need to work with other people, talk with your friends, hire a life coach, work through some of those things. And this is something I'm going to be talking about on the show in the future. Alex says, I see you are using your hands when presenting, but don't show this on camera. this is a really interesting point. Should one show hand movements to show energy? I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to this. The reason you can't see my hands is probably because I haven't really changed. I could kind of go back, zoom out a little bit more so that you could see my hands. But I personally, I prefer to be a little bit closer to the camera, and I think that's more intimate. And I think sometimes hands can get distracting. So if I lift up my hands and I'm doing all this, I think that can detract from what you're trying to say. And so I think thinking about it, my answer to that is no, I don't think you need to use your hands. The energy should come from your voice and your facial expression. So really using your eyes, using your mouth. These are some of the tips that I talk about in my Confident Live warm-up formula. So really using your eyes, doing some stretching exercises before you go live is going to be really important here. And also warming up your voice. So I've talked about this before. There are 5 different levels in what I call heightened authenticity. So if you're talking with somebody you're talking with somebody, a friend of yours at a coffee shop, you're going to probably speak at a very low volume. It's going to be quite intimate. And then if you're speaking with a smaller group, like 5 people, it's going to go up. A group of 30, it's going to go up even more. Level 4 is what I say for video and live video is even more energy, which you're putting into your voice. And then finally, level 5 is if you're speaking in a stadium in front of 10,000 people. And there's loads of energy there. If you're interested in that, then just check out I think it's episode 4 or 5. If you go to iag.me/podcast and look at the one all about how to warm up your voice, definitely check that out. But that's a great question, Alec. I really like that. So final comment from Challenge ITV. Using your hand, you will look like English, Scottish, Italian live streamer. Yeah, gesticulating a lot. I'm not against it, but I think sometimes it can get in the way a little bit. But it's really about being yourself. So don't worry too much about it. I'm just interested. Anyone on Facebook has the Facebook Messenger bot kicked in? Let me know how you get on with that. I'm going to be playing around with that a lot more next week. I'm going to play around a little bit more with the scheduling. Thank you, Alec, for letting me know about that. But next week, I'm going to be going live twice with the Confident Live show. So definitely check that out on Tuesdays at 11:30 a.m. in the UK and 4:30 p.m. on Thursday. And I think there might be also a Friday show, but I'll let you know about that. And then also there's the Go Live with Restream show, which is on my channels and also the Restream channels. And that goes live at 4 p.m. on Tuesday. Which is great. And Mark all says, yes, all sounds good with the bot. Well, that's fab. I'm not surprised. Well, that's because Sasha's been working amazingly at that. Well, I think that's it for this week. I hope you all have a fabulous weekend. But until next time, I encourage you to level up your impact, authority, and profits through the power of Confident Live Video. See you soon. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Confident Live Marketing Podcast with Ian Anderson Gray. Be sure to join the community at iag.me, where you can continue to level up your impact, authority, and profits through the power of live video. And until next time, toodaloo.